Call the park board meeting to order. First item on our agenda is minutes from our last meeting. Did anyone notice any changes or corrections or omissions that they want brought?
Move to approve.
One second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Any comments from anyone other than the agenda items that we have coming up? Okay, under new business, we've got, young man who you saw in the packet was the photographs and everything for the Eagle project. You want to take the podium and explain it?
All right, first off, does anyone need any copies of the proposal? Because I've got quite a few right here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, just making sure. All right, so general details of the proposal. General idea for my project is my little library size and shaped station, which would contain basic first aid supplies, so Band-Aids, and frankly, that's about it. Anything else basic that you might deem necessary that could be restocked actually that's up for determination, likely by my troop, which will also be funded with the fundraising portion of the project in which I have to carry out. So that should be able to fund it not only for the initial but also in perpetuity. And so, what else? It should be stocked mostly during the high frequency visit months.
Sure.
So that way we don't have to worry about stocking it during the winter and colder fall months, because that's where attendance tends to go down. That's that way we don't have to worry about increased amounts of theft during those seasons.
Mhm.
What else?
So talk about the location. Obviously, you have identified Grandview Park by Castle
Yep.
Park. Would it be a surface mount unit? Would you look to auger a hole next to the walking path? Kind of describe where you're thinking of placing it.
Oh yeah, so of the images that I attached, there's not sure if you can make it out, but on the overhead there's the small depiction of Castle Park, or Grandview Park, and there is a little gray marker out into the right of the entrance, which has the proposed location of the first aid station.
Oh, okay.
So that way it is in a high traffic and central areas, that way it's easy to access for people who are in the park, along with other areas nearby the complex.
So it looks like it would be mounted
On a post.
on a post
Yes,
that's
on a
already
post.
on like on the asphalt pavement.
Yeah, or buried within the dirt, so it can be easily removed if deemed necessary.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions about it?
Sorry.
Paul, go ahead. No.
I think it's a really cool idea. Thank you for thinking of us. I think it'd be great. How did you come up with the idea? Just curious about where it came from for you.
I was racking my brain in math class trying to think of ideas. And I was looking at a bunch of different ones I had written down that were okay, and then I believe one of them was a flagpole, and I started thinking about stuff that was buried, and then I thought about the libraries and thought about different stuff I'd done. Typically a lot of first aid stuff, because my dad is a merit badge counselor for the first aid merit badge, so I've helped them teach a lot of that stuff. And so I thought, all right, buried, my little library, first aid supplies, and it kind of all came together into what it is now.
Okay, thank you.
Nice one.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I got my first aid merit badge, so I think I'm qualified to speak on this. In there or on the outside or even inside, do you think, or one thought I had, because like with Paul, I think it's a great idea, with the dog park there and football and lacrosse and all, Castle Park. But any kind of instructions? I mean, I know it was going to be white with a red cross. Would it be important to say what it is, A, so people know what it is, then B, any kind of instructions of, if someone's not breathing, call 911, do any of that? Or I don't know if that's a good idea or not to go too far, but rather than just bandages, maybe, I don't know. some more helpful ideas. Otherwise, they may not know what to do with that stuff.
That's actually something I had not thought of. That's a really
Yeah.
great question. I guess we could put down some really basic instructions on how we could use some of the more basic supplies for those that don't know. Some of it will, or I should say most of it will be common sense, but just
Yeah,
general
that's fair, yeah.
instructions, just as just say that, hey, we told you how to use it, so there's no problems with that. Along with the instructions, to only take as much as you need, something that should be evident, but
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a nice idea. I think that's a good spot for it.
Yeah, yeah, it fits a good purpose
Yeah.
for out there. Is there a motion to approve?
I would motion to approve the Eagle Scout project presented by Ian Ristad.
A second. Any further discussion necessary? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried. So,
Stellar, thank you.
good luck with the project.
Thank you
Thanks
very much.
for doing it.
So
Okay.
before you go on, so Ian, just reach out to me and kind of keep me in the loop as far as when you're thinking of doing it, and we can walk up there and go through kind of the details on location and what you need to do. So you have my contacts, so just let me know. We can make some time for you. Thank you.
Yeah, good one. Next item on our agenda is changing the name of the ball fields out on Cratley Lane. There's a,
Yeah, so Matthew Parent from the Boosters organization reached out to me. Actually, reached out to Mr. DeZiel about possibly renaming the Cratley ball fields, and wanted to bring it in front of Park Board. There is in your packet kind of the official memorials and statues policy that was put in place back in 2009. There's a little bit of legwork as far as, the type of memorial, the size and dimensions, proposed locations, what it's gonna say, so on and so forth. But before Boosters got too far in the weeds on this, I just wanted to bring in front of Park Board first and foremost to see what your thoughts are on it. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, man.
Sure, yes, thank you. Mr. Chair, members of the Park Board, this really started as a kind of a pet project of mine. The idea was to honor John Herink, and I'm sure some of you have come across, cross paths with Mr. Herink. From best I can tell, he has been a booster volunteer for over 40 years. And I wanted to honor him in some way before his time was up with the boosters. He has spent a lot of hours, volunteer hours at Cratley Fields, whether it's mowing the grass, weeding, fixing what needs to be fixed, just volunteering his time. I know he's coached. The list goes on and on and on and on. So I couldn't think of a better place to honor Mr. Herink. And like Mike said, it started off as a small memorial. I thought a stone memorial similar to what's at the Hudson Dog Park that could say John Herink Fields or something along those lines. Taking it a step further, I reached out to Mr. DeZiel to see if we could officially name it. I wasn't sure if it was actually called Cratley Fields. I know Cratley Lane is right there. I know we have signs up on the road that says Booster Fields. We call it Booster Fields or sometimes Cratley Fields. So I just wanted to make this official if possible, and just come before you and hear what you think and present my idea. So that's what brings me here today. And I have my son Lucas with me, and then our president, Dave O'Brien, too.
anybody have any questions of them on it?
The Cratley was just based because that's the street
Yeah,
it's on. There was no tie to those fields, right?
used to be called the dump field.
I was gonna say, we call it the dump, yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause it was.
It's appropriate,
Yeah. Paul, do you have any?
I like the idea a lot. I think it's appropriate to have those fields named after somebody who's got, I think you said 30 years of service or more than 30 years or something.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Mr. DeZiel, from what I can tell, talking to other members, it's near 40 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's something else. Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of renaming it. I don't have a sense of the size or the stone, so to speak, but
Right.
something,
Mm-hmm.
whatever we could do. I guess my biggest question was location. If I'm looking at your map here, right? Were you thinking that little red circle, or you were thinking this little green piece in the middle?
Mr. Chair, Mr. DeZiel, I thought it would be nice as you walk in, there's a concrete path, so
Kind of
where
up
the
there.
path ends between that and the concession building seems like a good spot.
Yeah, I thought so too. I wasn't sure. There was a little green circle here, so I was just
Oh.
confused about, I didn't know which one you were indicating. But I agree that, I think as you walk in, because then everybody who's coming in for that game night is gonna see it along the way, so.
There's also the flagpole, kind of off to the side there too. That might be a good spot, but yeah, I didn't get too far other than, that seemed to make sense.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Well, hold on.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, so obviously, like I said, this is just kind of the first step in the process. There is a formal process that we would have to follow. It basically is a written application sent to the city administrator. And I can send you all this,
Sure,
Matt,
yes.
so you're aware of it. It basically, what happens is it needs to include the type of memorial, so maybe a photo of a similar one that you would look to install. It would include how big it is. It would include the proposed location, which you kind of already have, what the texts are, any diagrams or engraving, what it's actually gonna say. Kind of a brief description of the, the significance to Hudson, which you've already stated. And then documentation of any community support. So, once we have all that compiled, you'll send that to the city administrator, then it'll be placed, come back to park board for us to review it officially and approve it at that time. Then it goes to Hudson Plan Commission, city attorney reviews it, and then common council finally. So
Okay.
there are some steps in the process. Now, that's just for the memorial portion of this piece.
Okay.
As far as renaming the fields, I'm gonna have to do a little digging just to make sure there isn't anything on the books that we need to follow. I'm
That's a good
not-
point.
I'm not aware of anything. I
Yeah.
kinda did a little brief research. I couldn't find anything, so, Pat, if you have any.
I haven't heard of anything, but no, it's
So-
good to check and make sure.
Yep, so I just wanna make sure we dot all our i's and cross our t's, just because of some past memorials that we did that kind of, went awry. But I think the biggest thing right now is just for park board to direct staff and the boosters to go ahead and proceed with this proposal and go through the proper procedures.
I'll make that motion,
To,
what Mike just said.
I guess you're getting concept approval from us, that we're behind the idea.
Yeah,
We encourage you to go forward with it, and I don't think you'll find any resistance on our part
Okay.
to it. It's just the square peg in the square hole.
Yeah. So I will, well, why don't you go ahead and make a formal motion, just to direct staff.
yeah, I'll make the motion for Mike to proceed with, getting the proper forms, and researching the name change.
second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
No? Boy,
So
nice.
Matt, I'll probably reach out to you by the end of the week with what needs to happen next. Thanks.
The other agenda item we have is our, under our old business, is the reallocation of those funds that we had been talking about, that originally had been set aside for the pickleball, that we are gonna reallocate to some others. And in the online packet that we got, it listed out, and Mike had highlighted what were various projects in various parks. And Mike, you wanna take it from there about what your thoughts are?
Yeah, so, in the issue sheet, based on our previous discussions and some emails that I had gotten from representatives of the park board, wedding gazebo up at Prospect Park, a picnic shelter, the Third Street steps were discussed, sidewalks in Burton Park, and then Pat, you had discussed maybe putting this towards the Lakefront Park boat launch, and helping with that amenity down there. So, obviously, our 2022 CIP projects, this money comes from the pickleball courts that, aren't needed. I shouldn't say that.
It went to the Y.
It went to the Y, Pickleball Association went to the YMCA, Y Camp, and so that $40,000 has been made available. So, having said that, it's funny, the Hudson Pickleball Association did reach out to me earlier this week and saying that their numbers are increasing and increasing and increasing. And they're like, if there's an opportunity to build pickleball courts in a Hudson Park property, it would be used. So, just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
But we are
of course.
gonna be resurfacing the Anderson Park, tennis courts and basketball courts this summer. So there is 4 courts up there right now, obviously. So I just wanted to throw that out there and just make you aware that Pickleball Association did reach back out to me this week.
I actually had a conversation with Deanna Grab.
Okay, yeah.
About this.
Yep.
She knew that we were looking at reallocating.
Yeah.
She said, she doesn't think it's an immediate thing, but she said, a couple years from now, there probably will be another
Need,
Yeah.
need.
okay,
And I've been approached by the tennis people
okay,
saying that they have funding
okay,
already and could contribute in the funding for one if it's lined to do both, not just pickleball. They would be involved with this time around, and that might be an alternative source of funding
sure,
and could maybe move things sooner.
Okay.
So I think that could, I'll talk to John Knutson, who's the one who was behind that. I'll talk to John and tell him, to move forward and see what, they can talk first and see if they want to play together or not. And then if they do, then see what they can combine and come up with and come back to us in time for next fall's budget, right?
yep, yeah, because our next.
Because these monies are gone.
Yeah.
We're going to put them to use.
Correct, so the next bonding cycle or bonding discussions happen this fall. And that's a 2-year we bond for projects in 2023 and 2024. So we'll be having those conversations coming up this fall.
Yeah.
What projects we want to identify and try to install.
So the matter at hand, do you want us to now pick where we want it to go?
I mean, if within the next couple of months, yes. It comes to a point where, if we're picking in June or July, it comes to a point where the construction season's almost done by the time we get things lined up, based upon what you pick. So I just wanted to put it on here. If there's no consensus tonight, obviously we can table it again. But I just wanted to bring it back in front of you for your discussion. If there is a strong feeling on what to reallocate these funds to.
Actually, I like the idea of the wedding gazebo, because I think there's quite a demand for another structure like that, isn't there, to rent out? And if we designate it now, it probably could get built this summer, couldn't it? I mean, I realize that only takes, according to this, about $10,000, so that's not the full amount.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty small gazebo
Yeah.
at that number.
So the gazebo would be out on Picnic Point in Prospect Park, is that kind of the,
That's what,
Remind me
There-
exactly
there's-
what
there's
the
the
other
view.
structures are?
so right now, if you go up there, on Prospect Park, you kind of have the large structure, kind of on the bottom of the park, right? You walk up the steps and there's that trail that goes around to the kind of the vista. From my recollection discussion is it would be out kind of on that point somewhere overlooking the valley.
Yeah.
for photos and stuff too.
Yeah.
It's like in the fall, you get a great view of the city and whatnot.
So this would be like, and for 10 grand, I'm thinking, so this is where the happy couple and whatever the ceremony is, and then there'd be a lawn out there for people. It's not gonna be a large enough structure for a 300-piece wedding.
No.
No.
Right, this is just almost like a, I don't want
It's
to.
almost like a picnic shelter.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I think that's a great idea. I
Yeah.
like the idea that it could generate revenue for us. And along that same line, I think I kind of thought the picnic shelter too, again, if it rents out and generates revenue. And then we did talk, I don't know if we came to any consensus, but the Third Street steps is something that, again, we had them, we removed them, or, we should either never have them again or look at replacing them, so. But I like the 1, 2, 3 you have there.
My only thought on the $10,000 for the pavilion, that we shouldn't be hamstrung by that as much as design what's the right thing.
Sure.
If we design one hoping that people are gonna wanna rent it out and it's too small,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
just stubbed our toe. Where if it is big enough that, you know, you can have a couple of picnic tables under if it's inclement weather, or you can, you know, I just want to make sure that we kind of got stuck with the amount of money we could spend out in Burton, because at the time we set the number at $250,000, it was a lot of money.
Yep.
And I don't want to see us get hamstrung with 10, when 15 would have really given us a nice one. And we could have rented it out and fit a greater need. That's my only thought on it.
Okay.
Well, and could it be almost a dual purpose? You mentioned picnic tables under this thing. Nobody's getting married, you know, have a barbecue, but still.
Well, that's at the other one down below.
Right, but
Yeah.
the way you kind of painted that, I thought if it's a big enough structure, it could be.
It could be used for any
both.
number of things,
Yeah.
yes.
The one thing I'll say, just to play devil's advocate, it is such an iconic place in Hudson. That view, we wouldn't want to put anything really large that disrupts that,
Yeah,
True.
That's a good point.
you know? I've seen a lot of photos from up there on
Right.
print material and websites and you name it, so.
Well, and we don't have deep to go with footings there. That's hollow.
Sure.
right, yeah.
Right, with
Yeah.
this, so I mean,
That's in
if,
the old cistern for the city, is underneath there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's really cool.
it's a beautiful,
You've been in it.
yeah. I gave
Oh, I
images
got
to,
pictures, yeah.
that I had to the city on it. It's all brick, it's beautiful.
Wow.
So I think if that's the case, if that's the way that park board is leaning, what I would recommend then is, you know, myself and any one of you can look between now and our next meeting at some designs or just some preliminary, this is what I'm thinking, so we're kind of all on the same page of what this is gonna look like and kind of get a rough size.
Yeah.
I think that would be appropriate to do.
Mm-hmm. And let that drive what we need for money
Right.
to do
Because
it.
what, you know, we're already up there, on the other CIP item for 2022 is to asphalt that trail, because right now it's just crushed rock, so we'll be up there, we'll asphalt that, or concrete at one of the two, and we can include a pad to place the new pavilion or gazebo
Yeah.
on, so on and so forth, so we can kind of tie the two projects together.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea.
Just ask, why would we concrete or tar a path as opposed to leaving it more natural with the crushed rock?
It's more for maintenance purposes, you know, to plow it, to, it gets weedy, you know, just appearance, more or less, yeah, clean it up.
Yeah, it's pea gravel now, or
Yeah, it's like-
dresser trap
it's-
rock,
It's crushed rock, yeah.
crushed rock. I'm sure that gets into the mowers and everything else.
Yeah, and then you're up there, you're having to spray the weeds out of it, and then people are calling why you spraying herbicide and
Yeah.
around, it's like, you know, so it's one of those things.
Do we have, is there any setback? I mean, like you mentioned, we don't wanna ruin the view from up above looking down, but also, do we have any setback rules from the,
From the Riverway,
yeah,
I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I would venture to guess that that would be far enough outside
Yeah.
of the scenic Riverway. I don't know for sure, I'd have to look at the maps.
I'd rather get forgiveness than permission. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's the people who live here wanting to do something for the people who live here.
yep,
Is the way I look at it, that we aren't, it isn't a selfish thing to enrich any one individual
Right.
or anything, and we're trying to do it in a manner that if it was a state park, they would probably have something there.
yeah, already, yeah.
Yeah, you know, so I don't mean to be that flippant about going against them, but I think we can have a good case for what we would
Yeah.
want to do, you know, to be
It's
able to
not
do
like a
it.
solid structure, you know,
Yeah,
won't really have sides.
so do you have from us what you need
think so. I
for
mean,
the
if-
subject now?
If the board's kind of in consensus, I think we kind of go with that, and at the
Yeah.
next meeting, let's look at some preliminary design options, you know, rough schematics of what you're thinking.
And the other point to look at out there, I don't know if you've walked it, is over closer to the old hospital site. If you walk out that point, that's equally as beautiful, it's just going up
Yeah,
with trees and the like around it.
Yep.
You know,
That wouldn't be a bad spot either then.
Yeah.
if there's trees. I mean, you're not gonna get that clear vista that used to, that might be nice. So, anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So, we're up to project updates.
Yeah, project updates. I'll rifle through these. If you have any questions, please stop me. So last week had a pre-con meeting for the Lakefront Park boat launch. The contractor is going to start with demolition on April 18th. The original plan was to do the project in 2 phases. First phase from April 18th to July 4th, essentially. He's looking to complete the entire project prior to July 4th.
Really?
Yeah, so he's gonna really try to hammer it out. To him, it doesn't make sense to mobilize twice. If he has a curb crew in here, he wants to get all the curb done. If he has a, grading crew in here, he wants to get all done. So, fantastic. I mean, that'd be awesome if he can pull that off. So, so that will be starting, obviously, if you've driven down there, we have started removing some of the trees down there. We did end up transplanting 5 trees from that area to the north side of the park. The other ones were either too large or the mowers and weed whips had hit them over time and it didn't make sense to transplant them, knowing that they probably weren't gonna survive long-term. A couple other trees that we removed were some large cottonwood trees that had been damaged in a storm a number of years ago, a number of ash trees. So if you drive down there, it's noticeably different. Our staff this week is removing some of the irrigation components that we want to try and salvage, benches, light heads, so on and so forth, so prepping for that project to come through. But that's going to be starting next week, and hopefully the river cooperates.
Yeah.
Mike,
Yeah.
real quick, so when that starts, is the boat launch, is that whole lot gonna be closed from start to finish,
So
I'm assuming?
yeah, it's going to be closed more than it is going to be open, because once the plan is they're going to coffer dam off the launch itself, so and then they're going to dewater it, they're going to rip it out, and then they're going to pour back in new.
Okay,
And once they start disturbing anything in the shoreline, they have to put some erosion
Yeah.
control out into the water to catch any debris or construction materials. So once they begin this spring, it's going to be,
okay,
fairly off limits.
okay. I
And
saw
we've
the
been-
sign out there, that was good, at least, no, we're not hiding anything, it's,
Yeah.
expect closure, so.
And we've put it on all of our, season pass publications just to give people a heads up that say, hey, this is gonna be under construction. It's not gonna be open all summer long. So, and people have declined to do a season pass this year because of it, but I'd rather have that happen than them pay for it right up front and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, I didn't use the launch half the season and I want my money back. So,
Right, right.
and then there's other people that are just like, I'll use it when I use it and,
Yep.
so at least we're being upfront.
Mm-hmm.
So. Athletic field reservations, the schedule has been posted on our website. Thanks to the Hudson Booster Program for helping out with that. It was a huge help. Now if we can just get the weather to cooperate and the fields to firm up, I know the kids are starving to get out there and play. It's been a rough start to the season. I don't know what else to say, Yeah, so, right, it could be worse, I guess. So just want to let you know that has been finalized and we do have it posted on our website. Restroom opening schedule, again, probably looking at opening them that first week of May. We're shooting for that time period, to open up all the restrooms. Obviously, the one in Lakefront Park near the beach will be closed during construction. That's scheduled to probably be completed mid to late July right now.
Michael, on
Yep.
that, are we gonna bring in like a porta potty or something like that?
We will have a number of porta potties at that facility, 4 or 5 of them. And then any events that are occurring down there, we have been telling them that they need to supply their own porta potties for the larger events as well to make up.
The booster days and all
Yeah,
that.
exactly. So that, and then, seasonal staff update, I was talking to Paul before the meeting. Looking really good this year for numbers. Obviously, we have our mowing crew is already filled out, our rounds crew is filled out, we have our waters coming back, our gardeners coming back. So, and then we've had a number of applications from high school and college age students, so the season is looking really strong as far as numbers are concerned. which is a good thing because you hear a lot of people that are struggling to find people. So should be all systems go this summer. So
Good.
I'm very pleased with progress that we've made and the numbers that we have right now. And then finally, just to touch on the 2022 mooring season, mooring field is full. We had 4 people that declined to take a mooring ball this season, so we had 4 openings, new openings. We had 8 new applicants vying for those 4 openings, so we were able to accommodate 4 of those people. But another strong season there too, so just wanted to pass that along to the board that it's full, so.
Great.
We did run into some issues with the ice melt. A couple of the buoys got drugged down to the I-94 bridge. So when people come here and try to find their buoy this spring, they're not gonna find it, and I'm sure I'll be getting a couple phone calls. But it's their responsibility to monitor their buoy and their anchoring system. So they're gonna have to reset it somehow. But it happens
Yeah.
more often than you think, because they don't, the larger buoys, some of the moorers keep their larger buoys out in the bay, and that ice really grabs them and wraps them, and some of the anchors aren't heavy enough, right? And so it just gets carried downriver. Well, what they're supposed to do is put like a pencil buoy or something, or even,
Yeah.
where it kind of slips and slides.
Yeah, you can bring down.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
anyways, that's all I have for project updates.
Anybody have any questions or anything about any of the parks that have come up or that we need to bring attention to, or things that aren't being done? I haven't had any complaints. Of
Other
anything.
thing that I didn't have on here that I'll touch base on is the Anderson Park resurface that I talked about. I did contact the CNH Sports Surface. We're on the schedule for kind of mid to late July, so kind of middle of summer.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Sounds great.
No problem.
Anybody have anything for future agendas?
One quick suggestion.
Yeah.
But I probably won't be here for future agendas. Same thing I told the council last night. I would love it if, with the new park board gets up, if you guys could take like a group photo and stick it on the park board,
Good idea.
like a website. so
That's
that
a real good
people,
idea.
like, they don't see just your names, they see like who you are
Yeah.
and, that you're working together for Hudson. So I think it'd be a good tradition just to start like a group photo for all the committees and throw it up there, so.
Yeah, it would be. Great idea.
I'll call Dan Corum and make sure he's there for the picture.
Good. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Yeah.